You don't have a kindness problem. You have a weakness problem dressed up as virtue. Right now, people don't respect you. Not because you're a bad person, but because you train them not to. Every time you said it's okay when it wasn't, every time you stayed silent when you should have spoken, every time you smiled while something inside you burned, you were teaching the world one thing. You can be ignored, you can be used, you can be replaced, and the worst part, you knew it. You felt it in your chest. That quiet resentment, that frustration you couldn't explain. That moment when you walked away from a conversation replaying everything you should have said. That's not kindness. That's self-betrayal. And today, that version of you dies because the version of you that commands respect doesn't beg for it, doesn't chase it, doesn't explain itself. It becomes it. There was a moment, maybe you remember it, when you realized something was off. Someone talked over you, someone dismissed your opinion, someone crossed the line and you laughed it off like it didn't matter. But it did matter. Your brain registered it, your nervous system recorded it. Every time you allow disrespect, your brain rewires itself to accept lower status. This is neuroscience, not motivation. Your identity is nothing more than a pattern of repeated behaviors reinforced over time. If you consistently act small, your brain builds a small self. If you tolerate disrespect, your brain normalizes it. And once it's normalized, you stop fighting it. That's why this isn't about acting confident. This is about destroying your current identity and rebuilding a new one, brick by brick, because respect is not given to the nicest person in the room. It is given to the most certain person in the room. Certainty is power. And right now, your biggest enemy is dopamine. You're overstimulated, distracted, addicted to comfort, scrolling, watching, consuming, flooding your brain with cheap pleasure until real effort feels painful. And here's what that does. It weakens your ability to confront. It lowers your tolerance for discomfort. It makes you avoid conflict, even when conflict is necessary. So you choose silence over tension. You choose approval over truth. You choose comfort over power. And every time you do that, your brain reinforces a simple rule. Stay safe, stay liked, stay small. But the respected version of you lives by a different rule. Tell the truth, hold the line, accept the consequences. You cannot be both liked by everyone and respected by anyone. Choose. Now here's where it changes, because commanding respect is not loud. It's not aggressive. It's not emotional. It's controlled. It's precise. It's intentional. It starts with your body before it ever reaches your words. Watch how you sit, how you stand, how you walk into a room. Most people leak insecurity through their body before they even speak. Collapsed posture, uncertain movements, eyes that scan for approval instead of locking with certainty. Your body is telling the world, I'm not sure about myself, and people respond accordingly, so fix it. Stand like you belong wherever you are. Slow your movements down. Speed is anxiety. Control is power. Hold eye contact just 1 second longer than feels comfortable. That's where dominance begins, not in intimidation, but in presence. Your voice is next. Right now, you probably soften your tone without realizing it. You add unnecessary words. You over-explain. You apologize when you shouldn't. That's not politeness. That's fear. Drop the extra words. Say less. Mean more. Instead of, I was just thinking, maybe we could possibly try this. You say, this is the move. Pause. Let silence do the work. Silence is power most people are too weak to hold. And when you speak, don't rush to fill it, because the person who controls the silence controls the interaction. Now let's go deeper. Respect is not built in one moment. It's built in micro decisions. Small moments where you either betray yourself or back yourself. Someone interrupts you. Do you stop talking or do you calmly continue? Someone makes a joke at your expense. Do you laugh it off or do you look at them and say, we're not doing that? Not loud, not emotional, just final. Every one of these moments is a vote, and you've been voting against yourself for years. That's why people don't take you seriously, because you don't take yourself seriously. But this is where discipline enters, because confidence is not a feeling, it's a result of evidence. You build confidence the same way you build muscle, through repetition under resistance. You say what needs to be said, even when your heart is racing. You hold your ground, even when it's uncomfortable. And once your identity shifts, your behavior follows automatically. Now let's talk about fear, because the reason you're too kind is not kindness. It's fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of losing people. But here's the truth no one tells you. The people you're afraid to lose don't respect you anyway. You're holding on to relationships that are built on your silence. That's not connection, that's dependency. And the moment you start setting boundaries, some people will disappear. Good. That's the cost of upgrading your life, because the next level of your life requires a different version of you, a version that is not available for disrespect, a version that does not negotiate its standards, a version that is calm under pressure. Emotional control is everything, because the moment you get reactive, you lose power. When someone tries to provoke you, they're testing your frame. If you snap, you fail the test. If you stay calm, grounded, unshaken, you win without saying much at all. That's real dominance, not loud, not chaotic, controlled. Now let's lock this in with something practical. Every single day you train this, not someday, not when you feel ready, today. You start small. Say no to something you would normally say yes to. Hold eye contact with strangers. Speak your opinion in a conversation where you'd usually stay quiet. Finish one hard task without distraction. No phone, no escape. This is dopamine control. You're retraining your brain to find satisfaction in discipline instead of distraction, because a distracted mind cannot command respect. It's scattered, weak, reactive. But a focused mind, that's dangerous. That's someone people feel before they even understand why. Now, here's the part most people won't do: consistency. Because this is not a one-day transformation. This is war. War against your old habits, your old identity, your old comfort zone, and your mind will fight back. It will tell you to go back to being liked, to being easy, to being nice. Ignore it. That voice is not you. That's conditioning, and you're breaking it. One decision at a time, one moment at a time, until one day something shifts. You walk into a room and people feel it. You speak and people listen. You set a boundary and no one questions it. Not because you demanded respect, but because you became someone who naturally commands it. And here's where it all comes together. You were never meant to be soft in a hard world. You were never meant to shrink to make others comfortable. You were never meant to live a life where your voice doesn't matter. There's a version of you, stronger, sharper, more disciplined, waiting on the other side of discomfort. And that version is not far away. It's built through action. Right now. Not tomorrow, not next week. Right now. Because every second you wait, you reinforce the old you. So this is your line in the sand. No more fake kindness. No more silent resentment. No more playing small to keep the peace. You don't keep peace by avoiding conflict. You create peace by becoming someone no one wants to test. Stand up, fix your posture, control your breath, and the next time life tests you, you don't flinch, you don't fold, you don't explain. You respond with certainty, because you're not asking for respect anymore. You're operating from a level where it's the only option. This is where your new life starts. And if you're serious about stepping into that version of yourself, stronger, disciplined, respected, then stay locked in, because this is just the beginning. The motivational audiobook spot. Your transformation is no longer optional. You think the hard part is speaking up. It's not. The hard part is living with the consequences after you do. Because the moment you stop being too kind, the world reacts. People get confused, some get uncomfortable, some even get angry. Not because you did something wrong, but because you broke the version of you they were benefiting from. That's the part no one prepares you for. The resistance, the pushback, the subtle shift in how people treat you when you stop being easy to control. And this is where most people collapse. They take one step toward power, feel the tension, and retreat back into comfort, back into silence, back into being nice, not you, not anymore. Because now you understand something deeper. Discomfort is not danger, it's growth. Your nervous system has been trained to confuse the two. Every time you avoided conflict, your brain rewarded you with relief. That relief became addictive. That's dopamine. Short term comfort at the cost of long term respect. So now, when you face a moment where you need to assert yourself, your body reacts like you're under threat. Heart rate rises, thoughts scatter, words disappear, and you shut down. But here's the truth: nothing is actually at risk. Feel it fully, because that feeling, that's the doorway to your next level. Now, let's sharpen your edge, because commanding respect is not just about what you do, it's about what you refuse to tolerate. Standards. Right now, your standards are too low. You let things slide that shouldn't. You accept behavior that contradicts your values. You give access to people who haven't earned it. And every time you do that, you lower your own perceived value, not just in their eyes, in your own mind. So we raise the standard immediately. You stop over explaining. You stop justifying your decisions. You stop seeking permission for things that are already yours to decide. And most importantly, you stop negotiating your boundaries, because a boundary that can be negotiated is not a boundary, it's a suggestion. And suggestions don't command respect. Now let's talk about silence again, but this time deeper. Most people talk to prove something, to prove they're smart, to prove they're right, to prove they belong. But the most respected person in the room, they don't need to prove anything. They observe, they listen, and when they speak, it lands because it's intentional. Every word has weight. That's how you shift from being ignored to being heard. Now here's a move that will change everything if you actually apply it. The next time someone crosses a line, don't react immediately. Pause, look at them. Let the silence stretch just enough to create pressure. Then respond calmly, directly, without emotion. We're not doing that. No anger, no explanation, no apology, just clarity. And then you move on. That's power. Because you didn't escalate, but you didn't submit either. You held your ground, and people remember that. Now let's go internal again, because everything external starts here. Your self-talk is weak, and I'm not saying that to insult you. I'm saying that because it's fixable. Right now, your inner voice negotiates with discomfort. Maybe later, I'll do it tomorrow. It's not that serious. That voice is killing your potential because it allows you to escape accountability. So we replace it with commands, not suggestions, not negotiations, commands. When it's time to work, we work. When it's time to speak, we speak. When something is wrong, we address it. No emotion, just execution. This is how you build discipline, and discipline is the foundation of respect, not just from others, from yourself. Now let's talk about focus, because a distracted mind cannot dominate anything. And right now, your attention is being hijacked every day. Notifications, social media, endless content. You're consuming more than you're creating, and that imbalance makes you passive, weak, reactive. So here's the shift. You become intentional with your attention. You don't check your phone first thing in the morning. You don't allow random inputs to dictate your state. You choose what you consume. And more importantly, you choose when to shut it all off. Because deep work is where power is built. When you can sit down, focus, and execute without distraction, you become dangerous. Not in a chaotic way, in a controlled, focused, disciplined way. And that energy translates into everything. Your presence changes, your confidence rises, your tolerance for nonsense drops. Now let's bring it back to people, because social dominance is not about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself in social environments. It's about not needing approval, not needing validation, not needing to be liked, because the moment you need those things, you lose leverage, so you detach. Not emotionally disconnected, but independent. You can connect with people, but you're not dependent on their reaction. You can speak your truth without needing them to agree. You can walk away without feeling like you lost something. That's real power. And here's the paradox. When you stop chasing approval, you get more respect. When you stop trying to be liked, people start valuing your presence. Because now your behavior is not driven by need, it's driven by choice. And choice is attractive. Now we escalate, because this is where most people stop. They fix their posture. They speak a little more clearly. They set a few boundaries, but they don't go all the way. You will, because the final layer is identity under pressure. Who are you when things don't go your way? When someone challenges you publicly, when you're misunderstood, when you're criticized? Do you shrink? Do you over-explain? Do you try to fix how they see you? Or do you stay grounded, calm, unshaken, certain? Because that's the version of you that commands real respect, not when everything is easy. You're building a new standard now, a standard where your actions match your potential, a standard where your presence demands attention without you asking for it. And slowly, everything changes. People start listening. Interruptions stop. Your words carry weight, not because you forced it, but because you earned it through consistency, through discipline, through refusing to go back to who you used to be. And now, you're starting to feel it. That shift, that edge, that quiet confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. That's the beginning. But don't get comfortable, because the moment you relax, the old patterns come back. So you stay sharp, you stay disciplined, you stay aware. Every day is training, every interaction is feedback, every moment is a choice, and you keep choosing power over comfort, over approval, over fear, because you know where comfort leads. You've lived it, and you're never going back. So the next time life tests you, and it will, you don't hesitate, you don't overthink, you act decisively, calmly, powerfully, because you're not that person anymore. You're not the one who stays silent. You're not the one who tolerates disrespect. You're not the one who plays small. That identity is gone, buried, replaced by someone who knows exactly who they are and refuses to be treated otherwise. And if you're still here, still listening, still locked in, then understand this. You're not just changing habits, you're changing your entire trajectory. So don't slow down now, don't ease up, because what's waiting on the other side of this is a version of you that most people will never meet. Disciplined, focused, respected, unshakable, and this is where it gets real. The motivational audiobook spot. Stay with me, because the next level demands even more. You're still negotiating. That's the problem. Not with people, with yourself. Every time you feel resistance, every time something gets uncomfortable, you open a debate in your own head. Should I say it? Is this worth it? Maybe I'll just let it go. And in that hesitation, you lose authority, because decisive people don't negotiate with discomfort. They act. And that's the next shift you're stepping into right now. Decisiveness under pressure. Because respect is not just about what you say, it's about how fast you own your position. Hesitation signals doubt, doubt signals weakness, and weakness invites disrespect. You've seen it happen. Someone speaks with certainty, even if they're wrong, and people follow. Another person knows the truth, but speaks with hesitation and gets ignored. That's not fair, but that's reality. And you're here to operate in reality, not wishful thinking. So we sharpen your decision making. From this point forward, you reduce hesitation. You trust your judgment. You stop outsourcing your thinking to other people's opinions because the more you rely on others to validate your decisions, the less they respect you. Now, here's the uncomfortable truth. You've been trained to seek permission since childhood, school, authority, rules, approval systems. You were rewarded for compliance, not leadership. And now, as an adult, that conditioning is still running in the background. You wait, you ask, you soften, you adjust. Even when you know what needs to be done, that ends now because leaders don't wait for permission. They take responsibility, even if they get it wrong, because getting it wrong with conviction still builds respect faster than getting it right with hesitation. Now, let's talk about something deeper, your relationship with rejection, because this is the root. You don't speak up because you're afraid of how people will react. You don't set boundaries because you're afraid of losing connection. You don't assert yourself because you're afraid of being misunderstood. But here's the shift. Rejection is not a loss, it's a filter. It removes people who were only comfortable with the weaker version of you. And what's left? People who respect strength, people who align with your standards, people who don't need you to shrink to feel comfortable, but you can't access that level if you keep protecting everyone else's feelings at the cost of your own identity. So you start telling the truth, not aggressively, not emotionally, but directly, clean, unfiltered, and here's what will happen. At first, it will feel unnatural. Your voice might shake, your heart might race, you might overthink after the conversation. Good. That means you're breaking old patterns because the old you was comfortable being silent. The new you is uncomfortable being quiet. That's growth. Now let's move into something tactical. Conflict, because you've been avoiding it. And avoidance has made you weak in situations that require strength. So we train it. Conflict is not chaos, it's clarity under tension. And the goal is not to win the argument. The goal is to maintain your position without losing control. And you hold it. You don't rush to fill the silence. You don't justify. You don't soften. You let them respond. And no matter what they say, you stay grounded because the moment you get pulled into their emotional frame, you lose control of the interaction. And control is everything. Now let's go even deeper because this is where transformation becomes permanent. You need standards so clear that decisions become automatic. No overthinking, no hesitation, just execution. What do you tolerate? What do you accept? What do you walk away from? If you don't define these, the world will define them for you, and it will define them low. So you decide now disrespect is not tolerated. Time wasting is not tolerated. Lack of effort is not tolerated. And most importantly, self-betrayal is not tolerated because that's the one that destroys everything. Now let's talk about energy because people don't just respond to your words, they respond to your presence. And your presence is a result of how you manage your energy. Right now, your energy is inconsistent. Some days you're focused, some days you're distracted, some days you feel strong, some days you fold. That inconsistency kills authority. So we stabilize it through discipline, sleep on time, train your body, control your inputs, limit distractions. Because a disciplined body creates a disciplined mind, and a disciplined mind commands respect naturally. Now let's bring in something most people ignore, your environment. If you're surrounded by people who don't respect boundaries, who joke at your expense, who normalize weakness, you will struggle to change because environment reinforces identity. So you either elevate your environment or you outgrow it. There is no middle ground. And yes, that might mean distance. That might mean uncomfortable decisions. That might mean walking away from people you've known for years. But understand this, familiarity does not equal alignment, and staying in the wrong environment will keep you stuck in the wrong identity. Now we escalate again because this is where most people break. Consistency under boredom. You can handle intensity for a short time. You can push hard for a few days, but can you stay disciplined when it's boring, when there's no motivation, when no one is watching? That's where real power is built because the person who shows up consistently outperforms the person who relies on bursts of motivation. So you build routines, non-negotiable. You wake up and execute, no debate, no emotion, just action. And over time, those small actions compound into a completely different version of you, stronger, sharper, more respected. Now let's bring it all together because you're not just learning concepts, you're becoming someone new, someone who doesn't hesitate, someone who doesn't tolerate disrespect, someone who doesn't need approval, someone who operates with clarity, control, and conviction. And that shift changes everything. How people see you, how you see yourself, what you allow, what you achieve. Because when you command respect, opportunities open, conversations change, doors unlock, not because the world suddenly became fair, but because you stopped presenting yourself as someone who can be overlooked. And now you're stepping into a different arena, a higher level, where the expectations are higher, the pressure is greater, and the rewards are bigger, but you're ready for that because you've built the foundation, discipline, clarity, control. And now it's about expansion, taking this identity and applying it everywhere. Work, relationships, health, money. No exceptions, no off days, because consistency is what locks it in. So from this point forward, you don't go back, you don't shrink, you don't negotiate with your old habits. You move forward relentlessly. And when doubt creeps in, because it will, you don't listen. You act anyway, because action destroys doubt every single time. And this is where most people would slow down. Feel proud, relax, you won't, because you know something they don't. The moment you get comfortable, you start slipping. So you stay sharp, you stay focused, you stay disciplined, because you're building something bigger than comfort. You're building a life that demands respect. And now we're about to take it even further. The motivational audiobook spot. Stay locked in, because the next level is where very few are willing to go.